If you are an English learner who has ever felt that uh, deep burning frustration of knowing all the words when you read them, but then feeling completely lost when a native speaker says them at natural speed, then welcome.
You are definitely not alone.
It feels like you're not. Yeah.
That gap between reading comprehension and, real-time listening is probably the biggest obstacle in language acquisition.
Absolutely. And our sources for this deep dive are built around a specialized coaching session, a guide that's specifically tailored to help you conquer that real world speed and conversational English.
Exactly. It's framed as a really friendly coaching session.
Our mission today isn't just to list a bunch of tips. We are diving deep into why these methods work, and we want to extract the simple, the practical, and honestly, the stress-free strategies this coach provides.
Right.
The whole goal is to make you feel calmer, more focused, and a lot more confident when you, say, hit play on a movie or you step into a fast-paced conversation. We want to give you the mental blueprint for success.
And the strength of this material, I think, is that it immediately validates that frustration. It doesn't treat poor listening skills as a failure.
Yeah.
It treats it as a natural symptom of just using the wrong method. It's a very encouraging step-by-step approach. Perfect for beginners or anyone at that lower intermediate level who's just tired of the old high-stress language drills.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's find out why listening is almost universally considered the hardest of the 4 language skills. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing to actually master.
Well, think about it. When you read or write, you are the master of time.
You're in control.
Completely.
Yeah.
You can pause, you can look up words, you can reread a sentence, you control the input rate entirely. And what's fascinating here is that the coaching session starts by normalizing this challenge. When you listen to natural speech, you completely lose that control.
All of it.
The speaker dictates the speed, the clarity, the pronunciation, everything.
And that loss of control is terrifying, right? When we read, the information is laid out in these neat individual packets words separated by spaces.
Sure.
But when people talk, especially quickly, those packets just disappear into a continuous stream of sound.
Exactly. And the source material explains that this stream, what linguists would call connected speech, that is the true hurdle.
Okay, so connected speech.
Yes. And it's why, studying vocabulary list for 2 hours doesn't immediately translate into being able to follow a fast conversation. Your brain simply hasn't been trained to recognize the reduced and slurred sounds that happen when words collide in real time.
Can you give an example of that?
Of course. So, for instance, you know the words going to, but your brain needs to be trained to hear gonna.
Right.
You know the words what do you do, but often it comes out as what I do.
That distinction, the clean written word versus the messy spoken sound, that's key.
It's everything.
Because if a learner tries to find that clean written word inside the messy sound stream, they are going to fail every time.
Every single time.
And the tone of the guide promising this guidance without stress, that implies we need a fundamental shift away from that stressful search.
We absolutely do. The core belief underpinning this coaching is that listening is 100% a skill, not some innate talent.
It's a muscle.
It's a muscle that needs exercise, and the best exercise starts not with speed drills, but with a cognitive reorientation.
Which brings us to the first, and I think maybe the biggest mindset shift the coach introduces. This is where many learners finally get that aha moment.
I agree.
You have to stop translating in your head and instead focus ruthlessly on listening for the meaning.
This is the ultimate cognitive load reduction strategy.
Cognitive load. Break that down.
Okay, so think of your brain like a computer with a very limited processing speed. If you try to take every English sound packet, then translate it into your native language, then process the meaning in that language,
Yeah.
and then formulate a response, you're already 5 sentences behind.
You've overloaded the system.
Totally. The instructional session stresses this over and over. Translation is the enemy of real-time comprehension.
But how do you actually stop translating? I mean, that sounds a lot easier said than done. If I've been learning English for years through translation, what do I replace that default action with?
That's a great practical question, and the guide provides a replacement behavior.
Okay.
So instead of defaulting to translation, the learner is coached to immediately hunt for keywords. Your brain needs a new task to do,
A new job.
a new job. The goal is to train the ear to filter out all the noise, the function words,
Yeah.
and only lock on to the informational core of the sentence.
So we are talking about ignoring the articles like a and the prepositions, the auxiliary verbs, all the small grammatical words,
Glue.
and focusing almost exclusively on nouns and main verbs, the words that carry the actual bulk of the information.
Precisely. Think of it like this. If a sentence is a journey, the key words are your destinations. The house, the tree, the meeting. The function, words, the, is of. They're just the road signs. You need the road signs to structure the journey, but if you stop to read every single sign, you will never arrive at the destination.
That's a great analogy.
And the difference between hearing the cat is sleeping under the table and simply catching cat sleeping under table is the difference between keeping up with the speaker and falling behind.
And your brain can fill in the rest.
Your brain is perfectly capable of filling in the grammatical placeholders once it has that core meaning.
And I appreciate that the coach uses and repeats the specific vocabulary of the process itself, words like sound, pronunciation, meaning, and context.
Yes, that's a deliberate choice.
By using these terms consistently, the listener is learning the language of listening skill acquisition while they are acquiring the skill. It's like being given the instruction manual and the tools at the very same time.
It creates a focused, low-distraction learning environment. You're using the specific technical language you need to discuss accent, clarity, and speed, but it's done so conversationally.
Which keeps the tone light.
Exactly, and it encourages active thought instead of just rote memorization.
Okay, so we've shifted the internal mechanism. We're aiming for meaning, not individual words. But we still have to tackle the external reality, which is the speed of native conversation. It's one thing to mentally prepare. It's another to deal with the velocity of someone speaking really fast.
Absolutely. The source transitions right into that. It talks about the practical need to immerse yourself in natural speed.
Not slowed down audio.
No, this is non-negotiable for real-world English. Artificial slowed-down speech actually hurts your progress in the long run because it sets an unrealistic expectation. You never train your ears for those connected sounds we mentioned earlier.
Let's get concrete on that connected speech again, because this is where the stress level just spikes for learners. If I hear, "Did you eat yet?" I know those 4 individual words.
Right.
But what the speaker is likely saying is something closer to "jeet yet." How does the coaching guide advise managing that shock?
It emphasizes exposure, but focused exposure.
What does that mean, focused?
It means the guide encourages listening, not just once, but multiple times, and specifically hunting for those reductions and elisions. That's where sounds are dropped or merged. So, for example, instead of hearing the full, "What are you going to do tonight?" which is 8 distinct syllables,
Yeah, that's mouthful.
your ear needs to quickly process, "What you going to do tonight?" If you practice recognizing that compressed sound, the shock just goes away, and it's replaced by familiarity.
And once you accept that speed means you will miss words, which is inevitable. I mean, even for native speakers sometimes, that leads directly to the next critical technique, right? It does. Relying heavily on context to fill in those unavoidable comprehension gaps.
This is where the whole system really comes together.
Hmm.
We said before that context acts like scaffolding around a missed word.
Let's make that analogy clearer.
Okay. Imagine you hear 3 keywords in a sentence: appointment, canceled, and dentist. You might have missed a few words in between, perhaps something like, "I had to call the office because Mom..."
You miss the complex verb structure, maybe?
Exactly. But because you have the context, the established topic of medical visits, your brain can confidently infer that the missing words were something like, "Appointment was canceled," or "They canceled my appointment."
I see.
If the conversation was about, say, gardening, the context would lead you to totally different possibilities.
Yeah.
But here, the topic provides the frame. You don't need every single word if you have a strong context frame.
That's powerful.
And the coaching material is brilliant at training the learner to rely on the situation, the speaker's tone, and the preceding dialogue, rather than panicking over one single lost word.
So instead of trying to translate the missing word, you're using the mental image of the situation to fill the blank.
Yeah.
It shifts the brain from a word search function to a meaning inference function.
That is the perfect description of the shift, and the way the instructional episode is delivered supports this. The speaker maintains that calm, encouraging tone and actively suggests short pauses for reflection.
So you're not just rushed through it.
Not at all. You are given mental space to actually practice this inference process right after you hear the tip.
That active engagement is so crucial because it turns what could be passive consumption into actual skill development. It lets you internalize the tip without the added pressure of an immediate real-life response.
It reinforces the step-by-step nature of the learning. The guide makes it very clear that you aren't meant to be perfect immediately.
Yeah.
You listen to the tip, you pause, you think, okay, how would I apply that keyword technique to the last sentence I just heard? And then you move on. This is where the training truly happens.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, though. The actionable steps. The things the source suggests for building that muscle memory. We're talking about taking the theoretical concepts, keywords, and context and turning them into physical habits.
Right. The practice.
Summarize those active practice methods for us.
The methods are deceptively simple. Pausing, repeating, and practicing along with the speaker.
And this isn't just about mimicry, is it?
No, it's about creating a powerful physical and auditory feedback loop. When you pause the audio and you try to repeat exactly what you just heard, you are forcing your mouth to reproduce those connected speech sounds, the rhythm, the intonation.
And the moment your mouth produces the sound, your own ear hears it, and it links that sound pattern directly to the meaning you inferred. That connection, saying it, hearing it, understanding it, is infinitely stronger than just hearing it passively.
Infinitely. This transforms listening from a reception task into an active production task, which solidifies the recognition pathway in the brain.
It's like you're building a new road.
A superhighway, really. The consistent practice, particularly the repetition, is what develops that muscle memory for sound recognition. You are physically training your vocal cords and your auditory system at the same time.
And if we look at the ultimate outcome, the reason the coach structured this whole guide this way, I mean, it really boils down to reducing fear, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Fear is the greatest language barrier there is. Fear of speed causes you to tense up. Fear of missing words leads to panic, which then further diminishes your cognitive ability to process what's coming in.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
Yeah.
But by focusing on meaning, rely on context, and actively repeating sounds, you replace that generalized anxiety with specific, actionable tasks. You replace fear with familiarity.
And the guide doesn't just throw these tips out randomly. It uses this encouraging, targeted language throughout, constantly reminding the listener, don't worry, focus on the next step and to proceed step by step. It's a very supportive pedagogical framework.
That vocabulary confirms the structured approach. It's all designed to manage the emotional climate of learning while systematically addressing the technical challenge of sound processing. The specialized language is used as reinforcement. We're talking about clarity, accent, and speed, not as these insurmountable hurdles, but as variables you're learning to manage through technique.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the essential takeaways from this deep dive into the real-world listening coaches material. The biggest unlock here is really just shifting how you think about listening.
It is. The foundation of improvement starts with a powerful mindset shift. You must stop translating every single word into your native tongue. Deliberately pivot your focus to identifying the overall meaning.
And zeroing in on those keywords.
And zeroing in on those high information keywords, mostly the nouns and verbs.
Then, practically, you have to embrace the reality of natural speech speed, even the compressed, messy, connected sounds. Stop being afraid to miss small words.
Because you have a powerful tool to compensate.
Exactly. Leveraging context, the setting, the topic, the emotion, to infer meaning and fill in those comprehension gaps.
And finally, consistent active practice is what converts that theoretical knowledge into a genuine, usable, real-world skill. Use those concrete, stress-free methods the coach suggests. Pausing, repeating, and mimicking the speaker.
To build that vital physical connection.
That's how you build a connection between the sound you hear and the sound you produce.
That concept, treating listening as a muscle to be exercised, not a mystery to be solved, is just fantastic. Now, for one final thought for you to explore as you move forward with your own practice.
Okay.
Given that the source stresses the importance of understanding meaning and context over individual words, how might your approach to listening to music or watching movies in English change if you deliberately ignore the subtitles?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And you just focus only on the overall narrative arc, the tone of voice, and the emotional delivery? That's your context clue challenge for the week. Focus on the feeling, not the footnotes.
I love that, because if you can grasp the emotional state of the character or the mood of the song, even if you missed every third word, you succeeded in gathering the meaning. And that right there is the definition of real-world comprehension.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.